Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning into the channel today. Today, I'm going to talk about the Team of the Year for the Columbus Bass Club. It just came in that we had won Team of the Year. All the results came in after our last event yesterday. So I want to talk about how exactly we did that and how I got that done. If you guys would, just subscribe to the channel right down the corner down there and like the video if you guys like the content I'm putting out. And what I'm going to talk about is exactly how I got prepared for every tournament and how I went about preparing for that tournament, what I get ready for, because these tournaments are pretty difficult because we have about, I didn't look up the exact amount of list with the Columbus Bass Club, but there's over 20 pits, and the strip pits range anywhere from 15 acres. I think there's some that's 12 acres that we fish, anywhere from 12 acres to 60 or 70 acres, I think is the biggest one that we fish. So, and what we do is we all meet up at the bait shop or at the pre-meeting. Everybody gets registered, then we just draw a pit out of a hat from all those pits in there. And then you go to that pit, everybody puts in, and then we fish for 4 hours once everybody gets put in. So you don't have a whole lot of time to really think about it. And all these pits are all different. You got deep clear pits, you got deep clear pits with grass, you got deep clear pits with rocks, you got shallow clear pits with grass, shallow clear pits with rocks, you got shallow dirty pits, you got deep dirty pits, you got pits that got brush all over the place, structure everywhere. You got all this stuff that you just got to try and get, and you don't know where you're going because all these pits are so different. So it makes it very interesting and very difficult to prepare for it because you don't know where you're going to go until it happens. So you got to try to get ready before it goes out. So I'm going to get into this. I'm going to break it all down by every single tournament this year and what I did, how I did it, how I got prepared, what baits I threw, all that good stuff. Now, it all starts really with winning this Team of the Year. This is the second year in a row I have done this. Won the Team of the Year. This year was just like last year, was a nail biter all the way down to the last event. We got it by one place. Barely got it, so we got in there, but I got it done. That's the main thing. I had the help from my son as well. He put in some help in some of the tournaments, and Kyler Saporito as well. He put some fish in the boat that really got me. He actually put one fish in the boat, two that won a tournament for me, so it wasn't all on me. My partners did a lot too, so that was really good. So let's get into this. How I start the preparation is before every tournament, I usually on Friday or Thursday, depending on what we're all doing, because the tournaments are on Saturdays. I get ready and I get all my poles out. I get all my tackle. I sit down. I rig up about 12 poles or so, 10 to 12 poles. And I go through and I just think of the conditions, what time of year it is, if it's, springtime, early springtime, winter time, summertime, fall time, what the fish are going to be doing and what pits could be drawn, clear water, dirty water. I try to tie on an application for everything in there and then try to adjust as the tournament goes along. So I spend 3 or 4 hours getting all this stuff ready before every tournament. So it's not just something I just go out and let's go fishing. I put a lot of work into it. That's how I've won the Team of the Year 2 years in a row. So let's get into this. The January tournament was a rough one. There actually was only 3 pits that was unthawed. So we had to choose between those 3 pits. We drew the one out. It's actually a really good pit. I won a tournament there a few years ago. It's kind of a jackpot tournament out of there. So I really like that pit. That was in the summertime though, but I just did not. There was only 2 fish caught in that whole tournament at what was there, 8 boats, 9 boats, something like that. So I didn't get no bites in that one, so I blanked. That was the start of the year. In the February tournament I had to miss. I was working at a tackle show, so I didn't get into that one. So then March came along. In March, the fish are starting to feed up, so I tied on mainly jerk baits. I had some crankbaits because I won a March event, or it was an early April event last year with a crankbait. Had that tied on, had a jig tied on. Couldn't get nothing on the jig, but I got 3rd place in that one. So, and I should have won it. I had the winning fish on twice, let them get off. They just pulled off my jerk baits. It happens. I was throwing the first bait of choice that caught the bigger fish is the Berkley Stunner. Did a shad fillet. Got the yellow belly on it, kind of the blue back, the clear sides. It's kind of a bluish purplish back, if you guys can see it there. That has been a real good go-to for me this year. It seems to get the bigger bites. It don't get as many bites, but it seems to get the bigger bites for me. And then I throw that with a Megabass Vision 110 And Pro Blue has been a really good color for me. It's been a really good go-to, as you can tell. I've thrown that one all year. It's pretty scratched up. It's got bite marks all over it as much as it's got the work put in, especially here the past couple tournaments. So that's called Pro Blue. It's a Vision 110 Mega Bass. Runs a little shallower. I like to throw it too in the shallower places because the Berkley Stunner, it gets down a little deeper, and I do better in the colder water on it. So that's how that first tournament went. We got third place. Should have won it. Had to win fish on twice, like I said. Got off. But we got third. So that's a good start, you know. So the next tournament's in April. The first tournament. Sorry, I'll go back here. The first tournament was in pit number 20, North, which is a very good pit. The second pit was in North 33, which is also a really good pit. It's got lots of slot fish in it, lots of fish, really 17 inches, just like the tournament was won. The biggest bass was 17 and 7/8. So, like I said, it's a really good, got lots of slot fish in it. So it's a really good pit for slot fish, and I missed, two of them, one about 4 pounds, another one about 4 pounds. It would have won big bass that tournament. So then the next tournament is in April, and it was pit number 35, which is a very different pit because they filled it in, half of it in, and it's kind of like half of it's a marsh, and they put some brush piles in there when they did it. But the problem was it was so cold, so they really wasn't in that marsh area, and that's about half the pit. And we had, what was it, 7 boats in there, 7 or 8 boats. I think it was 8, maybe 8, 9, I think, in that one too. So there was about half the pit that was deeper, so there was a lot of us, that's where the fish were, a lot of us in that area. And the first fish, actually, my son caught it. It's on a big hammer ringer worm in Magic Bug. So you can see right there, that's just a 4-inch worm. It's got a curly tail on it, and it's got the rings on it. And if you're fishing the strip pits, guys, this worm here is just killer. You better have it on. Pretty much any time of the year, the fish are going to bite it. They love it, especially in the summertime. Get into that here later. My son caught the first fish on that guy right there. Got the day started. Then I backed it up with I had a wrecking ball. That's a 2K jig wrecking ball. That is not the color I was throwing. I was throwing a PB&J stripe, but I just actually realized I am completely out of those. I got to get stocked up on those. So I got to get some more of those, especially before spring comes around, because that is a really good jig. And actually, before I head down to Hartwell here shortly, I need to get some of those rigged up. So we ended up getting third place in that tournament. Once again, we actually tied for second. And then we lost the tiebreaker. I think it was second big bass, actually, because our first big bass was the same as theirs. So it was the second, or actually it was the third one, because we were always doing links then. We actually lost by the tiebreaker by the thirdest biggest bass. So it was real tight. That was with Matt and Jimmy, the guys that were right behind me in the team of the year. So it was a nail biter all year. We were like right neck and neck the whole time. They got second place. I ended up taking third in that one too. So that was 2 thirds in a row. So then we go to June, which was, we drew number 20 South, which is another good pit. I really like it. I know it very well. I fished it a lot in my life. And it was post-spawn. It was real tough on everybody still. It could be a tough pit. It's kind of it's a real deep pit, rocky, dirty pit. The water gets kind of dirty in it. There was lots of little bitty shad running around, just little bitty shad. And for some reason, I know the ringer worm caught him again, same color. Kyler Saporito was with me in that one. The ringer worm caught him again, and the Magic Bug that caught one of our, I think it was the biggest one we caught. And then I was throwing a Norman crank. I don't think they even make them anymore. I can't find them anywhere. Found them at a tackle show. I don't have it all. I ended up losing it. And it was a 12-foot diver. I can't remember exactly what it was called, that crankbait, but it's one of my favorite crankbaits to throw when they're in that depth range. So I caught 2 of them on it, and we caught the biggest one actually on the ringer worm. And that ended up getting a second place. And then we was second place by an ounce, I think, or 2 ounces. It was really, really close. So that was a second place. I'm getting closer there. I got 2 thirds and a second. So I'm doing real good. It's like, but I got to get some wins here because there's other guys. I'm still not even really up there in the team of the year. I'm kind of hanging around up in there, just kind of, flirting with them up in there. Nobody's really worried about me yet because they're like, oh, you're way down there. But I'm staying consistent there. I had, 2 thirds and now a second. So then the next pit we drew was number 40 South. And believe it or not, I've never been in there in my life, so it was all new to me. And it was a first time in there. I tried a bunch of things. It's starting to be summertime, It's July. So the big hammer ringer worm, I stuck with it the whole time through it. Went through the little ones and ended up in the last, I think it was last 30 or 40 minutes. Got the big bite. That was the biggest bass of the tournament, and that won that tournament. That was actually the biggest bag of the tournament, biggest 3 fish limit of the year. I mean, so that was really neat with that big hammer ringer worm doing that. That was in that magic bug. Like I said, that if you're not throwing that in the pits, you better get it on there. And it was on a Texas rig. That was on a 3/16 ounce, I do believe it was 3/16 or quarter ounce, right in there in that range. Texas rig, rigged up on a 2/0 straight shank hook, not straight shank, but an offset. So I got that victory doing that, and that's all I pretty much threw that tournament. I tried a big worm. I tried a 7-inch power worm. That's another good one to go to. That they just wanted that ringer worm better than anything else. So I got that win there, that biggest stringer of the tournament, tied for big bass of the year, and that ended up sticking with 3 pounds 8 ounces. So then we get into the August tournament, which is pit number 41. That's one I like really well. I ended up getting second place in there, or second or third 2 years ago. I think it was third 2 years ago, or last season, not 2 years ago, last season when that was. It was the first one of last season. So we drew it in August this year. I did catch some on the old monster and the ringer worm once again, except I was throwing June bug in that one. It's a dirtier pit. They like June bug. I was throwing the June bug 10-inch worm. I had it sitting here. I'll show it to you as well. This is June bug red because I'm actually out of June bug. I noticed I got to get some more June bug as well. I'm kind of out of a lot of stuff here. June bug red works really well too, though. It's another go-to color of mine in that pit. June bug red. Those are both really good colors. So we ended up getting second in that event. So, we had 2/3 and now 2 seconds and a first. So, we're still flirting right up there around the top. Still ain't doing as good as everybody else. We're still kind of just hanging around there in the top. So then the next tournament comes along, September tournament, number 39. I remember fishing this pit years ago. It's not really a favorite of mine, but I got a decent history on it. I fished it quite a few times. It's full of a lot of slot fish, and that's actually when we changed the rules from the pictures. We changed the rules from the pictures to the pictures to the 15-inch. You got a bass pass in Kansas where you can keep them if they're over 15 inches. Then we got the slot limit, so you can keep them under 13. So anything 13 to 15, you got to throw back, and we caught a ton of them in between there. And actually, Kyler caught the biggest fish of that tournament and won me that tournament as well. Without him, I would have not have had that. And what was that caught on? There was 3 lures in that tournament, and the biggest one was caught on the big hammer ringer worm. Once again, some of them, not sure which ones we all weighed in there. I know the one on the ringer worm, and then I was throwing a 7-inch blue fleck power worm. It's another go-to in the pits. The ringer worm is really used to be the 7-inch power worm was my go-to, but the big hammer ringer worm has been my go-to now. It just dominates over that power worm. So, and then the next one was Little Punk, 2K Jigs, big bass sponsor of the year, 2K Jigs for the Columbus Bass Club. It was a Little Punk. It's their silicone line. Little Punk blue crab color. On that, I was throwing I don't remember what trailer I was throwing on it exactly in that tournament. I threw a couple different trailers on it, but I was throwing that. It was a Smalley Beaver, or I like to throw it a lot with Missile D-Bomb in a copper chopper color, or even watermelon red works really good. So we got the victory in that one. Ended up taking first place and big bass. So now I got 2 first place. Okay, so I'm getting, it's like I'm starting to hold it there, and it's like, okay, so let's get to the next one. So we draw pit 40 in the next event. For the people that don't know, pit 40 North, the other one was pit 40 South that I won. Pit 40 North, I just happened to be in there. It was last year, not during a tournament, but last year me and a buddy went in there. Went in the springtime, though. And there was a lot of fish in there, a lot of good fish. I learned a little bit about what it was. It's a really, really deep pit. And so this really, really deep pit with some grass, but the grass starting to die off now because it's October. And it was rough. I went the whole tournament. I got a video. You guys can watch it on there. What exactly happened? And it was tough for me. I tried everything. I think I went through like 20 some different baits and lures between all of them to figure it out. And it just came down, finally switched over in the last 40 minutes to the Pro Blue jerkbait. Vision 110 Pro Blue, and switched over to it. Got the biggest bass of the tournament in the last 20 minutes, caught it. Ended up winning that tournament. Didn't think I was going to win it with one fish, but it was rough on everybody. It's so deep. The fish were just hanging out. The shad were still deep. The water hadn't cooled off enough for them to really pull up, so they were just out there roaming around in the middle of the pit. And you just had to kind of go figure them out, and it took me all day to get them figured out, but I did, so I got another first place. So that puts me in, before going into last tournament, I was in the lead for Team of the Year. The only way I could get beat is if I got lower than second place, and Matt and Jimmy would have won the last event and had a stringer bigger than 5 pounds 2 ounces, because they would have been tied with me, and the tiebreaker is, the first tiebreaker is the most wins, but we'd have been tied for the most wins with 3. So the tiebreaker would have been the biggest limit, would have been the next tiebreaker, which was 5 pounds 2 ounces, which would have went to me. So the last tournament just went down. I'll tell you how it went down, how we caught them there. We drew pit number 24 South, another pit I'd never been to. I've heard lots of good things about it. It's more of a summer pit. It's like crystal clear, not quite crystal clear, but I mean, you could see 8, 9, 10 foot, something like that. It's pretty clear. And just pretty shallow. I think deepest part we seen was about 12 foot, right in there on the fish finder. So it's about, 12, 14 feet deep. It's the deepest part in the pit. And it was a struggle getting them figured out, getting it going, kind of what was going on there. And the only thing we got going was jerkbaits and a little bandit. I didn't grab the bandit there, but the jerkbait, the Vision 110, I got the confidence in it, so that's what I was throwing. Took me a while to figure out where they was. Did catch one on a Bandit 100 or 200 series, my bad. Bandit 200 series, it's kind of a pink color. It's a pinkish purple color. I don't even know if they make it anymore. I got a couple of them. Hopefully I never lose them, because I don't know if I can get them again, because I love them in clear water. And the Vision 110, once again, in the Pro Blue, got the job done, caught a lot of them. That's pretty much, I think every fish we weighed in, though, was on the Vision 110. I think we actually called the one out that we did catch on the Bandit, and all the other ones were on the Vision 110. Ended up getting beat in that one by 2 ounces. We did get a limit. Just could not get the big bite. Caught lots of fish. Not lots of them. I mean, pretty mediocre for the pits. But for the fall time, quite a few bites after we got them figured out. Took us a while, though, to get about 2.5 hours to get them figured out. After we got them figured out, we really started catching them really good, though. So that was a good start there, and a good way to get going into season. But it was real intense, because it was like, who's got what, And Matt and Jimmy were kind of screwing with us through the tournament. We seen them because, you're all in the same pit. So we went to buy them, and they're like, oh, we got a 4-pounder. And it's like, oh, man, I hope they ain't got no 4-pounder. If they break Big Bass of the Year. Plus, we also had Big Bass of the Year, too. I'm tied for that. So was tied for that at that time. So it's like, oh, man, it's intense. Do they really have anything? Kept watching them. And I'm like, I don't know. They're not really catching many fish. So I don't know. I don't really believe it. So we end up weighing in. I think 2 pounds 10 ounces won it. Matt and Jimmy weighed in 2 pounds 8 ounces. We weighed in 2 pounds 8 ounces as well. Came in. They ended up having a fish that weighed a pound. Our biggest fish was 15 ounces. So once again, Matt and Jimmy broke the tiebreaker and beat us again. It was kind of back and forth every tournament with Matt and Jimmy, but we got it done, and looking forward to doing it next season. And now just wanted to talk to you guys about how I went down, what baits I used, and the biggest thing to these tournaments is another thing is being on the water. That's knowing all these pits so well. But I mean, the ones I won this year, I won 2 pits that I had never even been to in my life. So that was, one of them I never been to. The other one I've been to once. The other one I had a pretty good history on. So. And some of the other ones there, I got, the second and the third places on. I knew them real well. So, but a lot of it just comes down to the preparation, guys. I mean, if you want to try to win the Team of the Year for these things, you got to be ready. And you can't just show up with a couple poles and be like, oh, well, if they're biting, it's okay. Because, the competition's getting pretty stiff out there. And all these guys really know what's going on. Everybody's really, you got to be a step ahead of them or get them figured out before it's too late. That's kind of what happened in a couple tournaments for me. I got them figured out a little too late. But I still got team of the year. I feel like I could have done better. There should have been a couple tournaments I should have won, like this last one. I feel I should have did some things different. I should have won that one, but it didn't happen. So, but I still won team of the year. That's the biggest thing. I get to go back to the 2023 team championship. I'm going to the 2022 team championship on Lake Hartwell. So if you guys would cheer me on while I'm down there, wish us luck. It's going to be pretty neat down there. Going to South Carolina and Hartwell. It's a real clear lake. Pretty excited about going down there, ready to get it going. I do pretty decent on clear water. That was before LiveScope came along, but still, still should be able to get them figured out. I think we'll see how it goes. Just a couple weeks here, and then we get to go down there. And then, if you guys are watching, come to our annual awards banquet, which Columbus Bass Club is having the annual awards banquet on December 17th at 4 p.m. at the Columbus Community Center. And if you guys would, or there will be a little bit of a fee to get in, because that's going to cover the cost of the food. We are ordering pizza from our sponsor, and they're going to be on board with us for the 2023 season as well. That is Scammon Express in Scammon, Kansas. We're talking about holding the meetings there next year as well, so it'll be kind of more central location for everybody, and everybody's got to come to Columbus. Everybody can kind of meet there, and it's kind of right there in the middle of the pits. Not middle, but kind of where you ain't got to go north or south. You just head straight down a road and then either go, I'll go south. So it's pretty central there. But everybody come to the banquet, the awards banquet. We're giving away the Team of the Year plaques, giving away Big Bass of the Year plaques, giving away the Classic Trophy. And then the biggest thing is we're going to go over next year's rules. And we vote on everything, every single rule. We go down through there. We ask to see if anybody opposes of the rule we have now. If there's somebody opposes, then we vote on it. So we're just going to do that. Anybody got new ideas, we throw them out there. So show up to this awards banquet. It's very, very good. We got a rod giveaway from Old Muddy Custom Rods, which is AI Leonard. He is giving away a sweet looking rod, so everybody please come and support that. If you was a member, though, you can only win the prizes that are going to be there in the drawings if you was a current member this year. And then to vote on next year's rules, you got to pay your membership there, because we had guys last year too that didn't fish this year that did the voting, and we want to make sure they pay their membership. So if they don't show up, then they still paid their membership. So they had a little bit of say-so there, but that's how I got the job done in the Team of the Year. I want to talk to you guys about that, show everybody how it's done. You guys take the time to watch this video. You can learn how I got it done, and I'm trying to help you guys out, trying to help everybody. I don't have to put this information out there, but that's just the kind of guy I am. I want to help everybody out. So that's how it went down. If you guys got any questions, write them in the comments or write me or whatever you guys want, and I'll try to answer them for you. Thanks, guys.